And we're going to jump to finishing chapter 8, where we ended on the Grand Master President candidate, Vermin Supreme. And I got a special bonus for you today. This fella is running for president this year. Can you see his page there? Or is it still the slides? Well, let me make sure. This is his official VerminSupreme2020.com page. And I'm going to go down here. If you want to join the club, you can do that. You can shop for some merchandise. Let's read his policies very quickly. The overarching theme of his campaign is zombie preparedness and the pony-based economy. His first platform is to pass mandatory toothbrushing. He is declaring war on plaque in America. Anyone who does not submit to the regular inspections of their gumliness could be fined. Then he wants to harness the renewable power that zombies provide. He wants to ensure a beautiful and healthy world for our ponies. Not concentration camps, but fun-centration camps. Instead of building a wall, he's going to dig a large moat around every newly elected official. Then he will have the Vermin Supreme Fun-Centration Camp and Pony Ranch. This will be a water feature that will be known as the Border, Lazy River, and Immigration Checkpoint. Then he calls his economic plan Ponynomics. He's going to implement an absolutely free federal pony identification program. He wants to make ponies very small, and the next step will be implemented when tiny ponies and universal pony ownership have been achieved. Yes, this is a real website. The final thing is kangaroo courts. He is going to redefine crime as this: any act that disagrees with, denies, or otherwise opposes Vermin's enforced freedoms, including but not limited to traveling without your pony or not flossing your teeth, and any act that causes harm to another person or people. So there's his platform, but obviously that's satire. If you want to see his real world policy, you just click there and you can see what he's really for. Anyway, I also thought I'd look up Kanye West's presidential website, Kanye2020.country. It's a more simple and basic looking website with just a white background. I thought some of you might be able to tell me, I guess 46 would be the number president he would be. But you can give your information and sign up. He's got 10 things that he wants to do. And he has a scripture reference from the Bible for every one of his things. My understanding is he recently became a Christian And so, like number 7, take care of the environment, diligently pursuing clean air and water as a national security priority and making renewables top priority. And then he uses a scripture. He wants to have a strong national defense, that is Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, be fully prepared, but not so quick to tie up our country's young men and women in foreign affairs that do not advance our national interest. So there's Kanye. It's Kanye2020.country if you're interested. Back to the slides. So the third part of our chapter 8 is about party organizations. And party organizations are organized on 3 levels. You have the national party, like, for example, the National Republican Party, National Democratic Party, National Libertarian Party. Then you would have the state Republican Party. Like if you type in Oklahoma Republican Party, you'll be able to go to the state Republican Party of Oklahoma. And then you have local parties. And they can be organized on a county level, the Florida County Republicans, Pittsburgh County Republicans, and so forth, Pittsburgh Democratic Party. You can even have, I guess, local community parties. Anybody in Howe know of the Howe Republican Party or the Howe Republicans or the Howe Democrats? I'm not sure that they would have one, but they could. And I guess you could even have some regions, like you could have Democrats of Southeast Oklahoma. But political parties are organized in these 3 ways. And the majority of political parties are at the local level. There's, your textbook mentions over 500,000 political offices in America, and less than 500 are organized at the state level. And then there's only 2 at the national level, president and vice president. So 500,000 political parties are organized at the local level. Now, it used to be that the political party, the national party, like the National Republicans or the National Democrats, they had full control of how things went. But now we live in a time where we are, instead of being party centered, we're more candidate centered. Instead of the parties being central, the candidate running for an office has the lead role. So let's talk about a candidate-centered campaign. I might be thinking of another slideshow. Yeah, where I had Trump, but we'll go with some of these older ones. There we go. President Kennedy in 1960 was the Democrat candidate, but he was a very charismatic individual. He was considered young and vibrant, and he was a candidate who would be bringing in a fresh new vision. And so his candidacy was very centered around him. He had a very attractive wife named Jackie, who was known for her very classy outfits, and she was definitely a important part of their campaign. But a very, very candidate-centered campaign, which I think I think we could say this is when candidate-centered campaigns really began to take off. Ronald Reagan, a former actor, former Democrat, former governor of California. While he was Republican in his presidential terms, he really was the face of government is the problem and we got to get rid of it. We've got to downsize government, and we've got to free up the economy, and we've got to deal with the Russians, the Soviets. And Reagan was a very charismatic, also a very charismatic, down home type of candidate. Barack Obama in 2008, a young man, a African-American man. Yes, we can bring change. Obamacare, universal health for everybody. All of these things contributed to him to a very candidate-centered campaign. And especially we know from him being half African-American, that was really highlighted. He would be the first African-American president. He was from Illinois, which a lot of people like to compare with Lincoln being from Illinois. Lincoln being the one who freed the slaves. Now an African-American from Illinois can be president, and he can continue to make things better for African-Americans and other minorities. So it's a very, very candidate-centered campaign. And while he was Democrat, Obama himself was highlighted more than the Democratic Party and its platform. So when someone decides to run for president, they've got to put together a team. And this graph highlights that the leader is the top dog. They're the ones that this team, their job is to make sure this person is out front in front of the American people and gets elected. So you'll have a strategy team, And then within that whole team, you'll have smaller groups or committees that take care of these different aspects of the campaign. This committee here will do the job of raising funds. It takes money to have a campaign. Money to buy ads on television, to put up a website, to keep the website updated, to travel around and campaign. So this committee is completely in charge of raising money. And I think our textbook points out that the highest amount that an individual can give to a candidate is $2,500. And the highest amount that a group can give is $5,000. So like President Trump's campaign, the National Rifle Association, because they're not going to give to Joe Biden, they can give up to $5,000 to the Trump campaign. Interestingly, in the Democratic primaries last year, there was a couple multi-billionaires running for president who could basically fund their own campaigns. Mayor Bloomberg from New York and Tom Steyer. And I think pretty much most people who run for president would be in the upper 5% of our financial ladder in America. So they would be in the rich bracket, but they're still depending upon people to donate money to fund their campaign. Now, within this campaign team, this one here might have, yeah, here we go. Here's a little bit more detailed. You have a campaign manager. I forget who Donald Trump began using, but by the end of his campaign, Kellyanne Conway from Arkansas was his campaign manager. And she continued to be one of his advisors until about last month. She resigned. But you have a manager who will basically oversee the whole campaign strategy. All the committees will have a chairman who will then answer to Kellyanne. In Trump's case, they would have answered to Kellyanne Conway. You can see here that the candidate, again, let's use Donald Trump, in 2015 and 16, his responsibilities included going out and meeting the voters, going to campaigns and asking for contributions. He would work closely with the treasurer of the campaign. Of course, he would work with the campaign manager, so he was working closely with Kellyanne Conway. And then he would work with this kitchen cabinet, or what would be a campaign committee, which you can see this is Kellyanne. This would be the manager's team. Then the manager is in connection with all these other main committees. And you can see how it just eventually filters on down to putting ads on the television and radio, in newspapers and magazines, as well as social media, working all the way down to local volunteers within the states and within the communities, and then local organizations recruiting volunteers who will go out and put signs up, knock on doors and do surveys, encourage people to vote or get their voter ID. So a very intricate machine here, if I can use that language, machine to basically put forth a campaign for a candidate. They're putting together a plan to package the candidate and then try to sell that candidate to the American people. This group up here wants to make sure this one here is connected to these people here, and not just seeing them at rallies and visiting cities and going to restaurants, but that those people who don't leave their homes to go to rallies or see the candidate in town, but still make sure they're connected. So our textbook points out that there's 3 basic wars, W-A-R-S. There's 3, I'm gonna change it to 3 fronts in the warfare to get your person elected. Just like if you remember this really old movie called Return of the Jedi, and that's my spoof from Captain America Civil War, where Spider-Man says, you know what, there was this really old movie called The Empire Strikes Back. And War Machine asks Iron Man, where did you get this guy? How old is he? He's like, I don't know. I didn't carbon date him. He's pretty young. Anyway, if you think of The Return of the Jedi, if you've ever seen that movie, there at the end there was a battle going on in space between the Empire and the Rebellion. There was a battle going on on the moon between Han Solo and the Ewoks and the Stormtroopers. And then on the Death Star, there was Luke Skywalker battling Darth Vader. There was 3 fronts to that war. The World War II had a Pacific theater and an Atlantic theater, 2 theaters within that war. So think of these 3 fronts in the war for political candidates to get the vote. There's the air war. This is your TV ads, your debates, which, by the way, first presidential debate tomorrow night, bonus opportunity. I'll tell you about that here in a few minutes. So you have your air wars where you're getting your candidate on the air, TV, radio, and you want to get them out there so that people are exposed to them as much as possible. And even meeting with the press. Every day right now, of course, the president meets with the press, but every day Joe Biden is also meeting with the press. Then you have your ground wars. People going door to door, knocking on homes. Putting up yard signs in communities, passing out brochures and other literature, your ground wars, sending direct mail. And then your third front is your web wars. social media. This became very prominent under Obama's time. Obama really, we could say, was the first president to take advantage of social media. And no candidate today would want to ignore this way to reach voters, especially younger voters like you. So candidates wage they wage war on those three battlefronts: in the air, on the ground, and on the World Wide Web. WWW, in case you didn't know what WWW meant. Although I don't know what HTTP or HTML means. Can somebody tell me? For a couple thousand professor points. Somebody Googling it real fast. HTML.
Stands for Hypertext Markup Language.
Awesome.
HTML is the standard markup language for creating web pages.
All right. That's HTML. Is there an HTTML?
No.
Okay. So any questions on chapter 8? Well, let me just show you where we're going in chapter 9. This is our final chapter. We will finish it on Friday, Wednesday and Friday, and we'll be able to do a little review, because the test will be then available for Sunday the 4th through Tuesday the 6th. But chapter 9 discusses interest groups. Just like a political party, interest groups are a linkage organization, linking people to, and actually not just people like political parties, but people can be a part of an interest group, but they want to link a specific issue or a specific occupation with the leaders of the nation. There are many interest groups or special interests. As you read the introductory section to the chapter, there are many points of entry for interest groups to get involved in the political system and influence a party. Along with there being special interest groups, for example, the National Rifle Association is a special interest group. And you have, again, hundreds of special interest groups that are not related to any government organization. But to say all that, there are also government interest groups. A couple examples are the National Governors Association, which would be a fairly small interest group of 50 people. And then there is the U.S. Conference of Mayors, which could have thousands of people in it. I believe, former Oklahoma City Mayor Mick Cornett, who ran for governor a couple of years ago and got beat. But when he was mayor of Oklahoma City, I believe he was president of this group for a while. And believe it or not, along with these groups, private sector interest groups, government interest groups, even foreign governments can lobby Washington, D.C. So an interest group is a group of people who share common goals and they organize to influence their government. They do spend a lot of money and they spend a lot of time in DC trying to persuade government officials to either support their bills or to create bills that would be in their interest and to promote policies that they believe are best for the American people or for their group of people in the special interest group. So we'll return to that on Wednesday. And again, any questions on chapter 8? So tomorrow night is the first presidential election between Trump and Biden. I'm going to put a little questionnaire up today. And if you want to watch the debate and fill out the little questionnaire, it won't be very long. Do it during or right after the debate and submit it, and it'll be worth 10 extra bonus points. I will probably begin Wednesday's class with one of the key parts of the debate for us to watch together and how it relates to what we're studying. And then we'll continue with chapter 9. So last time, any questions about anything? We will look here together at the module. And you have until tomorrow to get at least 4 responses to your classmates posted for the discussion. Then you've got 1, 2, 3 days. Well, you have till Friday to get the survey of the chapter 8 material turned in. Please be sure to use MLA format. Make sure your assignments are double spaced. Some of them get turned in and they're single spaced. Make sure you have the required information for a title for the first page. Your name up there, then my name, the course name, and then the date. That is MLA format. If you do use outside resources for this assignment here, this survey, you don't have to have a works cited page. Just do an in-text citation. Have a great Monday and Tuesday, and look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. I got your one assignment updated, Ryan. So we will see y'all later.
What did you say?
I got that one assignment updated, your brief.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, about the discussion one though.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it changed. I won't start grading the discussions till after the 29th, when all the discussion posts have to be due.
Okay.
All right, but I'll take that 2 off.
Okay.